One of the most exciting aspects of WWE's Royal Rumble match is the potential for returns, whether they're well-loved legends from the past or a current star coming back after some time on the sidelines. At least in theory anyway, because for every truly great return that earns a place on the highlight reel, there is one that earns a shrug of the shoulders instead. Whether they were surprises or known about well ahead of time, some of them don't get talked about often, if at all, and for good reason. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 forgotten Royal Rumble returns. Join us. Number 10, Val Venus in 2002. The 2002 Royal Rumble was the scene of a bunch of returns, most of which were for memorable characters of years gone by. The re-emergence of Mr. Perfect and Goldust got a lot of hype, but lost amongst the hoopla was the fact that the big Val Boski also stepped back into a WWE ring for the first time on TV since June the previous year. Venus, last seen as a member of the Right to Censor stable, had been kept off television while he recovered from hip surgery, while the ongoing invasion storyline meant that the writers didn't exactly have anything pertinent planned for him. Back in his old gimmick, Val received a warm welcome from fans who were glad to hear that familiar strain of "Hello, ladies." But he wasn't given such a kind response from a rampant Stone Cold Steve Austin, who canned him in 2 minutes and 58 seconds. The adult entertainer was one of 7 men that the Texas Rattlesnake eliminated. With the likes of Perfect, Goldust, and match winner Triple H taking the headlines, nobody really gave a second thought to the big Val Boski on the night. He wasn't alone, mind, because number 9, The Godfather in 2002. Like Venus, The Godfather was another Right to Censor member who was left directionless once the group disbanded and the invasion began in earnest. The only solution really was for him to take some time away and return under his old fan favourite gimmick. We wanted to come aboard the hoe train. We needed to light up a fatty for that pimp daddy. We yearned for bright hats with little feathers in them. How disappointing then when this newer and decidedly unimproved version of The Godfather showed up. The hoes weren't so scantily clad, nobody lit up a fatty, there was nary a hat with a little feather in it to be found. The new direction for the character was to be very toned down, with The Godfather claiming to have gone legitimate with a legal escort business. Well, Chuck Palumbo and Christian escorted him out of the Rumble in a grand total of 1 minute and 48 seconds, setting the tone for an underwhelming run that followed. Number 8, Billy Gunn in 2004. Billy Gunn was absolutely living the dream in the summer of 2003, getting paid to, essentially, look at on-screen girlfriend Tori Wilson's bum. I swear, one of these days I'm going to kill my guidance counsellor. Unfortunately for Mr. Ass, he went down with a shoulder injury that September, which kept him out of action until late December. Though Billy was medically cleared and spent some time down in developmental territory OVW working off ring rust, WWE decided they might as well hold off on his return for a little longer and began promoting it for the Rumble. Gunn himself hyped it up via vignettes on SmackDown, counting down his greatest moments, such as winning his first tag titles with kayfabe brother Bart and going all the way in the 1999 King of the Ring. It felt like maybe they were teasing him becoming a heel, but not much about him seemed to have changed when he entered the fray in the 2004 Royal Rumble at number 27, hitting his famous finisher on everyone in sight. That was as good as it got, as Goldberg unceremoniously dumped him out after just 5 minutes and 37 seconds of ring time. Number 7, Jim Duggan in 2012. The winner of the very first Royal Rumble should, by rights, be allowed to enter any damn Rumble they please. And I love Hacksaw Jim Duggan as much as I love shouting "Ho!", but his appearance in the 2012 iteration wasn't much to sing about. Fans might not have been singing, but they were having a whale of a time chanting "USA! USA!" when Big Jim made his surprise entrance at number 19, striding towards the ring with his trusty 2x4 in hand. After dishing out some punches, kicks and clotheslines to the mid-card geek squad cluttering the ring, Duggan himself was clotheslined out by Cody Rhodes. The bitter irony, eh? Truth be told, this was obviously all about the nostalgia pop and letting fans belt out their favourite patriotic chants. That said, it was still a somewhat weak and wasted surprise. Hacksaw had not too long been gone from WWE, having last appeared in the 2009 Rumble. Him cropping up here was also overshadowed overshadowed by Road Dogg making his first WWE appearance in over a decade, as well as the return of Karma. But still, I mean, ho! Number 6, Haku in 2001. The Monday Night Wars were well and truly over by the time the 2001 Royal Rumble rolled around. WCW were on life support while WWE were thriving and marching triumphantly toward the monumental WrestleMania X7. Just months before Vince McMahon bought his closest competition, however, he managed to get one over on them just one last time when Haku returned to WWE for the first time since the '92 Rumble. The former WWE Tag Team Champion had won the WCW Hardcore title a week earlier at their Sin pay-per-view, but since he was working on a per-night deal with the Atlanta-based organization and didn't have a proper contract, he was free to make the jump. Entering at number 29, some fans were more like, Hack who? When the man very recently known as Meng made his entrance. The hardest man in the world lasted a paltry 2 minutes and 51 seconds and scored 0 eliminations of his own before he was 86'd by eventual winner Stone Cold. If the match was a shoot though, well then my money would be on Haku single-handedly ripping out 29 eyeballs on his way to victory. Number 5, Sheamus in 2014. The 2012 Royal Rumble match was, at that point, the career highlight of Sheamus. The Celtic Warrior brogue-kicked his name into the history books by lasting 22 minutes and scoring 3 eliminations. He bumped those numbers up to 37 minutes and 5 eliminations the next year, where he finished a very respectable 3rd. That August, however, old Lobsterhead tore the labrum in his left shoulder with a mooted recovery time of 4 to 6 months. Given that time frame, it wasn't too much of a surprise to see him resurface in the 2014 Rumble. Yes, the 2014 Rumble. That one. The cursed one. Sheamus entered at number 17 and lasted a not inconsiderable 28 minutes, eliminating Big E Langston before another 3rd-placed finish. Like everything in that match, his return was completely overshadowed, well, ruined, by the vehemently negative reaction of the Pittsburgh fans who were furious at the lack of Daniel Bryan. Despite putting in a good shift and coming close to being a repeat winner, few will remember this as the night that Sheamus came back from a 5-month layoff. Number 4, Rob Van Dam in 2006. Everything about Rob Van Dam's return at the 2006 Royal Rumble should have been great. The whole flipping show had been out of action for a little over a year after undergoing major knee surgery, and vignettes promoted his re-arrival for weeks beforehand. RVD hadn't had much luck in his 3 previous inconsistent Rumble outings, but all signs pointed towards him faring much better in 06. Coming in at number 20, better add a 4 before that 20, am I right? Blaze one. Van Dam was in there for just shy of 24 minutes and got rid of Carlito, Road Warrior Animal, Super Crazy, and Goldust. Besides some eliminations and some cool teamwork with Rey Mysterio, Van Dam didn't do too much to stand out. Much of that was down to the Herculean efforts of Mysterio, who set a new longevity record and eliminated 6 people, including playing a part in Rob's, before winning the whole thing after entering 2nd and dedicating his triumph to the late great Eddie Guerrero. With all that going on, Van Dam's return became something of an afterthought. His surprise 2009 Rumble return, on the other hand, was sweeter than that sticky icky. Number 3, Jacqueline in 2018. 2018 was a historic year for the Royal Rumble, as the namesake pay-per-view hosted not just a men's but also a women's Rumble match for the first time ever. And how great was it for a first go? The returns of Hall of Famers like Lita, Trish Stratus, Tori Wilson, Molly Holly, and Beth Phoenix were great to see. Sasha Banks was the MVP with a 55-minute showing, and after Asuka's popular win, Ronda Rousey made her proper debut as a full-time WWE star. Regrettably, some things got lost in the shuffle, like the return of Jacqueline, wrestling in a WWE ring for the first time in almost 14 years. A Hall of Famer in her own right and one of the toughest women to ever lace up a pair of boots, the former WWE Cruiserweight Champion entered at number 21 and got a nice pop. The then 54-year-old looked like she hadn't lost a step and was allowed to briefly shine before she was bundled out by entrant number 22, Nia Jax. To date, this is Jackie's last taste of in-ring action, and I can't help but feel that she deserves a better send-off. Number 2, Rick Martel in 1995. The 1995 Royal Rumble had one of the weakest fields ever. Realistically, only Shawn Michaels, British Bulldog, Lex Luger, and maybe Owen Hart had a chance of winning the thing. The roster was so so threadbare that WWE even called in Dick Murdoch and gave the likes of Well Done a number just because. One man who didn't make it to the Sun Dome in Tampa was Jim Neidhart. The Anvil, never one to miss an opportunity to get fired, was let go after no showing one too many events. Drafted in as his late-in-the-day replacement was Rick Martel, who hadn't been seen in WWE since a tour of Asia in July of 1994. It was the model's 7th Rumble appearance, a record at the time. However, he wouldn't be able to repeat the heroics of, say, his 1991 Rumble performance, where he eliminated 4 people and lasted 52 minutes en route to a commendable 5th place finish. In 95, he entered number 10, eliminated nobody, and found himself sayonara'd in just 2.5 minutes. It was Martell's last WWE match. What a way to sign off. Number 1, Bob Backland in 2000. The 2000 Royal Rumble felt like a gritty pay-per-view designed to push the Attitude Era envelope. You had the debut of ECW star Taz, who got off to a flyer by choking out Kurt Angle. You had the Miss Rumble swimsuit contest with WWE's finest divas strutting their stuff in barely their bikinis and Mae Young scarring a generation of impressionable children. And of course, you had the brutal and bloody world title street fight classic between Triple H and Cactus Jack. So, seeing Bob Backland rock up to Madison Square Garden in his old PE kit and looking like he had gotten on the wrong bus certainly was at odds with the vibe of the show. A former WWE champion and a legend any way you look at things, Backland had put on a great showing in the 1993 Rumble when he entered at number 2 and lasted 61 minutes, setting a longevity record that would last for 11 years. In the first Rumble of the new millennium, Backland helped gang up and eliminate Rikishi, but was afforded an early shower when Chris Jericho eliminated him after just 2 minutes. Bob had a legacy in the world's most famous arena, yes, but his pee and you might miss it cameo here hardly added to it.